Welcome to this explainer. Today, we're going to forensically deconstruct a very specific 60-word data management competency statement. We're going to line it up directly against RICS Level 1 requirements just to see exactly how perfectly it maps out to those core standards of baseline knowledge. Let's dive right in.
We'll be breaking this submission down line by line. We're going to tackle the core statement, jump into EDMS and database risks, and then round it out with BCIS, BIM, and GDPR.
Section 1. The core competency statement and baseline knowledge.
Okay, so the opening claim literally states, through my professional development, I gained an understanding of data management. I use electronic document management systems for structured filing. Now this sets a really direct foundation, right? It perfectly aligns with the RICS requirement to demonstrate knowledge of practice-specific information systems. It's concise, and it completely sets the stage for everything that follows.
Moving on to Section 2. Dissecting EDMS and Access, the tools of the trade.
Let's talk about that acronym. An Electronic Document Management System, or EDMS, is a software used to organize, store, and track files. Honestly, EDMS is the absolute backbone of modern structured filing. If you were asked for a concise Level 1 model answer here, you'd explain that an EDMS ensures all project data is centrally located, easily retrievable, and strictly controlled. By explicitly stating its use, this text directly addresses the RICS requirement for understanding exactly how electronic database systems work.
Now, the submission also specifically brings up version control. This is the process of managing multiple iterations of a document to ensure users are accessing the most current, accurate data. And the claim of using version control, it's critical. It prevents those incredibly costly errors that happen when people work from outdated information. A really direct question that could pop up here is, how do you actually ensure the correct version is utilized? A solid model answer would note that establishing strict naming conventions and immediately archiving superseded documents prevents teams from working off outdated data. Next up, we have audit trails. Think of this as a step-by-step chronological record of exactly who accessed, modified, or deleted data within a system. By mentioning audit trails, the text proves an understanding of transparency and accountability. It shows a real awareness of the mandate to ensure security. If asked, a strong Level 1 response would emphasize that audit trails provide irrefutable proof of data provenance, and they instantly highlight any unauthorized modifications.
Notice how perfectly the claims of controlling access and assigning permissions map to the precise RICS Level 1 expectations. It's a one-to-one match. The candidate's phrasing directly mirrors the overarching principles of how project information is stored, as well as the legislation applicable to data access. This alignment naturally prompts a pretty vital question. How do you ensure access permissions remain appropriate as external project teams inevitably change over time? This question arises directly from the text, basically probing whether the practical reality of maintaining access permissions is truly understood. A solid Level 1 model answer based on our sources would focus on acknowledging the risks of poor access control and the absolute necessity of actively managing the computerized central project database as those team dynamics shift.
Which brings us to Section 3, Databases and Risks, the double-edged sword.
The candidate notes here, I understand the benefits of centralized databases and the risks of poor access control, inaccurate records, or incorrect handling. This hits flawlessly on the RICS requirement to understand the benefits, challenges, and dangers of these systems. It explicitly acknowledges that managing data isn't just about storage, it's entirely about protection.
The real-world dangers derived from the text are severe, frankly. We're talking inaccurate records, incorrect handling, and unauthorized access. A Level 1 model answer addressing this would focus on the need for regular data audits and strictly enforcing permission hierarchies. Why? To prevent the overarching loss of project integrity. You aren't just acknowledging that the system exists, you're proving you know exactly what goes wrong when it's mismanaged.
Section 4. BCIS and Benchmarking. Industry Data Sources. So, what is BCIS? It stands for the Building Cost Information Service. It is an external published source of independent cost and price data, generally used for estimating and benchmarking. Citing BCIS perfectly satisfies the RICS Level 1 example concerning the use of published sources of data. If prompted, a model answer would simply identify BCIS as a tool used to access historical building costs to inform early-stage estimates. You're acknowledging its role without claiming to perform complex analyses yourself.
Now this brilliantly illustrates a key boundary condition. Pay close attention here. Stating you are aware of data sources such as BCIS represents a baseline Level 1 knowledge.
Conversely, claiming to benchmark from analyzed historic data pushes you straight into Level 3 advisory territory. The phrasing absolutely must remain aware of to safely avoid over-extrapolating into the kind of advanced, practical benchmarking application that would be demanded at a higher level.
Section 5. BIM, an introductory look at structured information. Just like with BCIS, explicitly stating you have introductory knowledge of BIM safely maintains the boundaries of Level 1. It correctly identifies BIM as a structured information source, but it completely avoids overcommitting to advanced Level 3 advisory roles or complex 3D modeling. It's a very smart, calculated phrasing.
And finally, Section 6, GDPR and Data Security, the legal framework. The General Data Protection Regulation, GDPR, is strict legislation dictating data protection principles and exactly how personal information is stored, processed, and shared. Concluding the statement with an adherence to data protection principles under GDPR neatly ticks that final RICS requirement concerning legislation applicable to data management. A concise model answer here would highlight that GDPR means ensuring any personal client data stored on the EDMS is kept secure, only used for its intended purpose, and promptly deleted when no longer necessary. But remember, mentioning it opens the door to some inevitable inquiries. For example, if you follow data protection principles under GDPR, what are the direct implications for your project's audit trails? You must know what those specific principles are if you claim to follow them, right? A model response would cite the core tenets: lawful processing, purpose limitation, and data minimization.
Okay, let's consolidate everything we've covered. We'll look at the critical takeaways, the key terms to master, and the top 10 questions naturally arising from this text.
Here are the key terms you absolutely have to master: EDMS, structured filing, version control, audit trails, BCIS, benchmarking, BIM, and GDPR. Complete clarity on these terms is mandatory. Furthermore, those statements claiming introductory knowledge of BIM and BCIS, they deserve the most careful review so that no advanced expertise is accidentally implied during a discussion. Know the definitions cold, but stick strictly to the boundaries of Level 1.
Based on our line-by-line analysis, here are the top 10 inquiries, ranked by likelihood. You should be fully prepared to explain EDMS audit trails, how GDPR actually affects structured filing, and the exact dangers of poor access control. Moving down the list, expect to define how you assign permissions, outline structured filing processes, and defend the benefits of centralized databases. Finally, be ready to explain the risks of version control failure, the use case for BCIS, the exact limits of your introductory BIM knowledge, and practically speaking, how you would actually fix inaccurate records.
Let's reflect on this final, critical thought. When data management fails, who ultimately bears the cost of a single inaccurate record in a centralized database? If version control slips up and an outdated drawing is accessed by a team, what is the true compounding cost to the project? Understanding data management isn't just about memorizing some acronyms. It's about actively protecting the integrity of the entire project. Food for thought as we wrap up this explainer.